Georgia is a leader in the world of plant conservation. There are about 40 entities, universities, private companies, volunteers, state agencies. They all come together in an effort to protect rare, threatened, or endangered species.
At a special plot here at the State Botanical Gardens, the seeds of endangered plants like this Georgia aster are protected and used to grow healthy populations. Conservation Coordinator Jennifer Seska says the plants grown here are then planted elsewhere to restore species in the wild.
So a lot of these species represent what would be like a Piedmont prairie, a grassland, and a Piedmont prairie is one of the top 3 most critically rare habitats in Georgia. So these grasslands were once upon a time vast in the Piedmont Mountains, and we've lost them to history. And part of the research going on here is recreating those habitats or restoring and boosting the biodiversity.
It's kind of like a wetland. You look at a wetland and it just looks like a bunch of muck. And somebody might look at this and just go, well, this is just a weedy patch of land,
right.
but you see something totally different.
I see something totally different, and I so want to walk with people. Come walk with me, come meet these characters in this play. Because this is a beautiful theater going on, but you gotta know who you're talking to. Come see, come see. If we could just walk with Georgians, with people, and help them to see that it might look hairy, it might look woolly and wild, but it's so beautiful, and there's texture, and there's movement, and there's insects, and birds, and there's the sound of the animals, all of it. It's so beautiful. I could sit and look at a grassland in fact, I do it often, for hours and days, just to immerse and watch the diversity going on.
Some of the asters have been planted here in the Chattahoochee National Forest, where trees have been cleared so that native plants can thrive. Forest ecologist Jimmy Rickard says without fire, the tree canopy gets too heavy for the understory to survive.
We do want to expand this. This is really where the diversity is for our botanical species. There's not as much diversity in the tree, the canopy and such. It's this ground layer where we have a lot of our diversity, a lot of our flowers, a lot of insects, birds, a lot of critters make their living in this ground layer here. And so, yes, we do want to expand this and try to have more of this habitat on the landscape.
Carrie Ritclaff is also part of the Georgia Plant Conservation Alliance. They often take extreme measures to just protect one species.
Again, we have no idea what we've lost, and we don't know what we have left. There's more research that needs to be done to quantify all of these, even these more common species, what their role is, how they interact with pollinators, and how that supports us as humans. You know, plants support all of life, yet 2 in 5 plants around the globe are threatened by extinction.
2 in 5?
2 out of every 5 plants worldwide.
Which may help you understand why Kevin Elmore is hanging on ropes to cut down these invasive plants, because they cast too much shade on Georgia rockcress. We are in Columbus, Georgia, at Goat Rock Dam, and Kevin is hanging off of a steep embankment above the water. All of that for this. Georgia rockcress looks unimpressive in winter, but when it blossoms, it's lovely. It's just picky about where it grows.
You are basically risking your life to save this one little plant. Is it worth it?
Definitely, definitely. Because, I mean, the habitat, so much habitat's lost to it, and to be able to open up some space for this plant, it's a good cause.
At this point, you may be thinking, so what if we lose a few plant species? Michelle Elmore is lead biologist for the rockcress and gave me this reply.
Well, you know, my first response to that is that Georgia rockcress and so many of the plants and animals that are unique to this area, it's a special part of Georgia. It's our natural heritage. And so for me, you know, that loss would be unfortunate because, you know, we've gotten to enjoy the plant and other plants in that habitat, and I would like my children and their grandchildren to know about it. And like I said earlier, I mean, there could be some utility that for medicine, for food, things like that, that we do discover in the future, because we're still learning so much about this species. So if we lose it, you know, we'll never know what that value could have been. And, you know, it may also play an important role in just the interconnections of other plants and animals, like pollinators, for example, and connectivity among populations. If we lose this one, for example, then the pollinators might not be able to connect to the next population because they need these stopover places. So that's why, you know, each place becomes important and it has its role.
There are about 4,000 native species on the lands across Georgia. Unfortunately, 20% of those are rare, threatened, or endangered. Perfect example, the dwarf sumac. But the Alliance rescued this one, and pretty soon there will be more. I'm Sharon Collins for Georgia Outdoors.